10 places to visit in Italy. Few places rank as high on travelers' bucket list as Italy. Whatever your taste in travel, you'll satisfy it in this country that is at once exotic and familiar. History, art, food, music, architecture, culture, sacred sites, charming villages, and stunning scenery are all around, and in an atmosphere that only the most confined curmudgeon could fail to enjoy. From the soaring Dolomite mountains in the north to the beaches of Puglia and the ancient temples of Sicily, Italy is filled with outstanding places to see. These range from magnificent natural and scenic wonders to some of the greatest masterpieces of art and architecture the world has known. No matter where you choose, you can't go wrong. So here are 10 places to visit in Italy. Number 10. Sicily. The island of Sicily has earned 7 places on the UNESCO World Heritage Site list, 3 for its ancient sites, 2 for natural wonders, and 2 for architectural treasures. Some of the finest remaining examples of ancient structures are in Sicily. At Selinunte is one of the largest Greek temples. In Agrigento, at the Valley of Temples, is one of the 3 most perfect Greek temples anywhere. And the 3,500 square meters of mosaics at Villa Romana de Casale in Enna decorate one of the best preserved villas in the entire Roman Empire. Sicily's landscapes, crowned by Mount Etna, and its spectacular golden sand beaches match its world-class attractions. The capital of Palermo is a vibrant city full of color and fine buildings. Nearby Monreale Cathedral is a masterpiece of Norman architecture. Its walls covered by 6,340 square meters of the interior walls with intricate mosaics by artists from Constantinople and Sicily. Monreale stands today almost exactly as it was built in the 1100s and is one of Sicily's top tourist attractions. Number 9. Naples. As the canals characterize Venice and the Renaissance is the essence of Florence, in Naples, it's the sheer exuberance that will hold you spellbound. It's a boisterous place. Its narrow streets filled with color, noise, and life. You'll find plenty to see and do and experience in Naples. In its treasure-filled churches, its magnificent palaces lavished in the riches of European royalty, and its premier archaeological museum displaying the finds from nearby Pompeii. Join locals and stroll by the waterfront to savor views of Mount Vesuvius across the bay. Hop a ferry to the island of Capri or magical Sorrento. Shop in the glass-domed Galleria Umberto I. And by all means, sample the pizza. Neapolitans claim to have invented it. Number 8. Pompeii and Herculaneum. In AD 79, Mount Vesuvius erupted violently and suddenly, engulfing the thriving Roman city of Pompeii and encasing it for more than a millennium in 6 meters of ash and pampas stone. The city remained frozen in time until excavations that began in the 18th century uncovered more than half of its buildings and public spaces. The same eruption also engulfed the city of Herculaneum, but this time in molten lava, not ash. So instead of raining down and crushing buildings with its weight, the lava flowed in and filled the city from the ground up, supporting walls and ceilings as it rose, and preserving them in place. Also preserved in this airtight seal were organic materials, such as wood, textiles, and food, giving a more complete picture of life in the 1st century. Details such as eating vessels and even food have been preserved as they were when the disaster struck. Number 7. Pisa. These 2 nearby towns are worth visiting while you're in Tuscany. The first for the exceptional Campo dei Miracoli complex, and the other for its endearing charms. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, actually the Campanelli for the adjacent cathedral, is a well-known Italian icon and forms the centerpiece of a UNESCO World Heritage Site that also includes the cathedral, baptistery, and Campo Santo. The highlight of the impressive baptistry is Nicola Pisano's intricately carved freestanding pulpit, a masterpiece of Romanesque sculpture. Completing the ensemble is a museum displaying some of the most beautiful gold and silver work of the Middle Ages and Renaissance. Number 6. Amalfi Coast. The high and precipitous Amalfi Peninsula juts sharply into the Mediterranean just south of Naples, forming the southern rim of Naples Bay. It's hard to imagine a more beautiful or unlikely setting for the towns that spill down its steep slopes. Streets in most of these picturesque towns are stairways, and houses seem glued to the cliffs behind them. Flowers bloom everywhere, and below the towns are beaches caught in coves of emerald water. The Amalfi Drive along the southern coast is one of the world's greatest scenic routes. Off the end of the peninsula and easy to reach by regular ferries is the fabled island of Capri with its blue grotto sea cave, lavish villas, and lush gardens. Sorrento, on the northern coast of the Amalfi Peninsula, is a good base, an easy day trip from all the things to see and do in the region. Number 5. Cinque Terre. The 5 towns that cling to the steep, rocky Mediterranean coast north of La Spezia were almost impossible to reach by land until the railway connected them by tunneling through the headlands that separate them. Today, the trail along the cliffs that locals once used to travel from town to town is one of Italy's great hikes. The shortest and widest of its sections between Manarola and Rio Maggiore is known as Via del Amor and will be closed until sometime in 2022 due to a landslide. Although hiking the trail is the goal of most tourists, don't overlook the pleasures of lingering in these little villages. Rio Maggiore and Vernazza, with their narrow streets dropping down to tiny rock-bound harbors, are the most filled with character, and despite its recent popularity with tourists, the Cinque Terre remains one of Italy's most appealing attractions. Number 4. Milan. Although Milan is a major entry point for tourists because of its airport, it's often overlooked as a destination of its own. That's a shame, because Milan has one of the highest concentrations of artistic and architectural attractions in all Italy. And for those interested in design and fashion, not to mention shopping, it's a must. Milan has been the home and workplace for luminaries in all these fields: Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Verdi, Enrico Carso, Toscanini, and designer Giorgio Armani. Il Duomo, Milan's massive cathedral, is among the world's most magnificent churches and finest examples of the flamboyant Gothic style. La Scala is the world's most prestigious opera house. Da Vinci's The Last Supper fills the walls at a monastery, and throughout the city are museums and palaces filled with some of the world's finest art. And no fashionista can resist a stroll through the famed Quadrilatero. Number 3. Venice. Who could fail to love a city whose streets are made of water, whose buses are boats, and where the songs of gondoliers linger in the air? It is a magic city, and its major attraction to the tourists is the city itself. The hub of the city is the broad Pisa San Marco, St. Mark's Square, surrounded by several of its top tourist attractions. The Great Basilica of St. Mark stands beside Doge's Palace, and overlooking both is the tall Campanile. Gondolas congregate at the end of the plaza in the Grand Canal, and in the other direction, a gate under the clock tower leads into a warren of narrow winding passageways, where you're sure to get lost on the way to Rialto Bridge. But getting lost is one of the greatest pleasures of Venice, where a postcard scene awaits around each corner. Number 2. Florence. The showcase of the Italian Renaissance, Florence can at times seem like one giant art museum. The Duomo, the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, is a landmark of world architecture topped by its gravity-defying massive dome. Together with its marble inlaid bell tower by Giotto and the octagonal baptistry with its incomparable bronze doors by Gioberti, this is one of the world's finest ensembles of Renaissance art. Half a dozen art museums brim with paintings and sculpture, while more masterpieces decorate its churches and palaces. Before you overdose on art in the Uffizi Gallery and Pitti Palace, stroll through the Boboli Gardens and explore the artisan studios and workshops of the Old Turano, or shop for leather in Santa Croce. Number 1. Rome. Both for its history as the capital of much of ancient Europe and for its present-day role as one of Europe's most vibrant cities. For most tourists traveling to Italy, Rome heads the list of places to visit. Relics of its ancient glories, the Colosseum, the Forum, the Pantheon, the Appia Way, and the Palatine Hill, vie with the vast riches of the Vatican as the top attractions. But between the important sites like the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo's Pieta, take time to enjoy the city itself. Relax in the Borghese Gardens, eat gelato on the Spanish Steps, explore the narrow streets of Trastevere, sip morning cappuccino in cafes, window shop on the Via Veneto, and toss a coin in Trevi Fountain so you can return again and again. It will take several trips to see it all.